Hi everyone, it's Anna Wheaton from Nudge Nudge Ink Ink, showing you a technique that we've covered in class just recently, which is the gilded leafing. And I'm also showing you how to make an angled gatefold at the same time. We've been playing with gilded leafing, which is one of Stampin' Up's products, and this is how it comes in one of these pots. And when you open it, it's full of very light flakes, so even the slight, that was just a little puffy breath from me, will lift those and carry them away. So make sure that you don't use them with the fan on or in a breeze or when you're about to have a coughing fit. So what I do is I pop them into a bigger container, and as you use them, they will end up going from being flaky to quite small pieces, and they're still perfectly usable. All right, so big flakes to begin with, but then as they get smaller, it'll be fine. Now, what we used them with for one of our projects was some Tombow, because as you know, Tombow is our multi-purpose liquid adhesive. Oh, I've whipped the label off that one. Hang on, this one. And the annoying thing about it and the good thing about it is that when it dries, it is tacky. So if it squelches out the side of your project, you've got a tacky bit on your card, which is annoying. But for gilded leafing, it is an advantage. So I'll show you how it works. For our card, we're going to use a pattern from the Inked Botanicals 6x6 specialty paper. So these are all the patterns here. I've just pulled out one of each, so you can see a whole variety of things, and then on the back you have a whole range of patterns there too. I'm going to pick one of those because I've mostly used the front patterns. So let's try this. You actually won't see this particular one finished product, but I've transferred my Tombow into a needle point glue bottle. So that just gives you finer control. If you have good Tombow control, you could probably work straight from the container, the dispenser that Tombow comes in. But this was better for class because it gives us good control and a nice fine little line or dot. Okay, so you can see there, I'll bring this closer in a moment. I'm just applying, I'm going over some of those streaky marks. Now, the great thing about Tombow is that you can see it. It's white. It goes on white and it dries clear and tacky. So let me bring that in. You can see how that works. Now, I'm not going to make you wait till all of this is done, but I'll finish this off and use it for a card later in the week as we focus on this particular stamp set and its papers. Okay, so I then store that in a cup so that it is sitting tip down, all right, so that the glue is at the tip. I'm going to put that aside to dry. So you would need to leave that. You can't apply your gilded leafing now, because what will happen is that will just smear and you'll just get a mess. You have to wait till that dries, which would take perhaps half an hour. If it doesn't have those lumps on it, it's even quicker, like the little scratchy marks. They're quite quick, but eventually it will become tacky. Now, this may not show. See there, we've got a little bit of shine, all right? And the other way to see if it's tacky is it's just sticking to my hand, but not coming off on my hand. Not that I would recommend that as a way of testing it. Okay, so I have already done this design and this design, so you are not able to really see that, but I'll show you how it comes up. So when you go to take your container lid off, again, be careful, because if you pull it off fast, you'll send those flakes flying. Then I recommend you get a piece of sponge. So these are the old Stampin' Up sponges. I've just added a peg so that I've got something to hang on to, and you start pushing these on, these flakes, and rubbing them off. Okay, so if I just pull that out, you can see, for example, here they've stuck to the glue and I've rubbed away the excess. Here I still need to get rid of that excess. So all that you have left is what is stuck to that glue. So you just keep going until it's nice and tidied up. I'll turn that round. Now we ran a class. I had a morning class and an evening class last week, and in my home where I've recently had new carpet, so I was very hopeful that we wouldn't spill any. Everyone just worked over the container. You can see I've dropped a few bits on the table, but we didn't have any sad stories on the carpet. All right, so there you go. So I've just picked out whatever I wanted from the pattern to highlight it, and then I'll reveal this one as well. So this one I've just picked out the center spots. A little clearer in real life, but you get the idea. So unlike embossing powder, these gilded flakes look more like gilding. They're more like a molten gold effect. So they work beautifully. Okay, now I'll just clear that up. So I've got 2 pieces of DSP ready. Put my lid on, which is just sensible. And now we're going to make the angled gatefold. All right, so this is my card. So our usual card, if I just grab one from nearby, is 14.8 times 10.5. All right, so 14.8 by 10.5. So that's the same, but what I'm wanting to do is overlap my flaps. So if I took the normal half piece of A4, which is what that is, and I'm scoring it down the middle, those flaps are just going to meet in the middle. They're not going to overlap. That is not long enough. All right, I'll show you in comparison. So open this, and you can see that's wider. So what we're going to do is work with our piece of A4, but we're going to cut this way. So we're actually going to end up with a piece like that rather than a piece like that, because we need it to be longer. Same height as a card, but more width. Right, so I'm going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to cut it at 14.8. And then that is the height of my card. So that's the height of half an A4. But this time I'm going to cut 24.5. So you see I'm ending up with those leftovers. So then I'm going to, if you're using those measurements, 14.8 by 24.5, I'm then going to score my flaps at 7 centimeters. So working from those measurements, that means that if I fold this over, they're going to overlap, all right? And that is 10.5. So that's my normal card size. All right, so this is what my card is ending up looking like. So I want to cut these at an angle. This was, I'm just going to check, I can't remember. I measured this and it was 6 centimeters from the top. So we're going to do this one differently. All right, so I want to create my angles here. So I'm going to measure from the top. This time I'm going to go 5 centimeters. which will mean that my angle isn't quite as sharp. 5 centimeters, sorry, I'm off camera. 5 and 5. Getting a little bit of gold leaf in there, added bonus. Bring that in, and I'm going to line up the top of my score line with my pencil mark. So I'm just cutting a triangle off that front flap. Sorry, get that out of the way, like so. Then, same here, my pencil mark and the top of my score line. Grab my rubber, often your pencil mark will just show a little bit. If you felt more comfortable, you could of course rule that line before you cut it. And then you'll see we've got our angle. And the amount showing there is less than this one because I made that distance shorter. All right, now we're going to add the paper to the front. This, depending on what size flap you choose, because you could go more or less, all right? You just want it to overlap. So this one is 7 centimeters. Now that means I'm going to cut my piece of DSP to be 1/2 centimeter shorter. So that means it's 6.5. And then I want the one for the other side, 6.5. So these I don't need, I'll put those aside. These I do need. Now, you could you could experiment with measurements for these, but what I find is the easiest thing, so you can see that that is about 2.5 mil border there on either side, and then you want to allow 2.5 there. So then what you're wanting to do is cut this at an angle, and to make your border up here 2.5 mil. Now I'm pretty good at just guesstimating that with my eyes, so I don't have to measure it with a ruler, but I'm making a pencil mark that's about 2.5 mil down from this cardstock edge, okay, from the Calypso coral edge. So I'm going to cut that away, right? And then I'm going to do that with the other one. So again, allowing 2.5 mil here, here, and here, and then guessing or measuring 2.5 mil here to cut off my triangle. Put your card base aside, and then I'm going to match those up. That pencil mark goes into this channel. Oh, and that one does too. I've got it perfect. Cut that away, and I'm left with this piece that I'm using. This one, if you've got a really dense pattern, it might be hard to see your pencil mark, so you might do them as you go rather than measure and mark 2 of them and then cut them. Okay, pencil mark in the channel, pencil mark in the channel. Done. Trimmer out of the way. Okay, so what I've done is cut those to size to now fit here. So I'm going to glue those on. You'll find your paper that has the gilded leafing in it doesn't slip and slide as easily as paper without, so it's just sticking a little bit. So just be prepared to work around that. I'm going to stick that in place. And see, I'm not pressing down yet until I've wiggled it into position. There we go. And let's do the same with the other one. Sticking a bit. And that's the other side. I feel as though I need a little bit of gilding there, maybe later. All right, So that's your fold over. And then you can decide which way you want to go. What do you want on the top? With this one, I actually was off a little bit with my measuring. See how that's gone very narrow? So I just close it like that to hide that bit. And then people go, ooh, and read inside, you see? Okay, so my card is ready. Now I have already played around with an inside. This inside I did in basic white, and then I thought, hey, that's more very vanilla. So this one I've done very vanilla. So I've used the stamp set. This is the inked and tiled stamp set, which is reflected in the patterns of the DSP. And so I've just stamped some images in the coordinating colours and done a little bit of glue with that as well, getting it tacky. Okay, gild on, gild off. Put that aside. And I'm going to pop that inside the card. Like so. Now you could leave it like that if you wanted to, and sometimes it's lovely to just add a sentiment. I'm just looking for a cutout piece, which I do not have handy. Oh, here's one. You could have something like that with your sentiment, but what we're going to do is a belly band, because these pop open. Because the flaps don't have as much weight as a full card front, they can pop over. So remember, we had this leftover strip, and of course I would have had a leftover strip from here, so I've cut a piece of Lost Lagoon. This is 2 centimeters wide. You could go wider, you could go narrower. And I'm going to lie that across my card, like so. In fact, I'll slide it over a bit. Turn this over, and I'm just going to fold this. We want it secure so that it doesn't fall off, but not too tight that we can't get it off. Cut that short. And then I just add a little bit of adhesive. Could be Tombow, could be Seal, to the inside of that one because it's going over the top, the outside of that one because it's being covered. We're not wanting to glue this to the card. We just want to glue it to itself. So see, that can slide now. Then we have our very vanilla stitched circle, and there's a variety of different sentiments in here, so I'm choosing the happy birthday. It's a good good variety of sentiments. Then the color combinations for this paper are Lost Lagoon, Pool Party, Crushed Curry, Calypso Coral, and Petal Pink. So I'm just going to go with, I'll go with Calypso Coral. Stamp that. And I'm wanting to attach that here, which I think I'll do with my Stampin' Dimensionals. So I can put them straight on here so that I know that I've got them lined up, just as long as I don't make them too wide, that they're going to stick out the side of this. That can go there. And I should add some bling, but it's round the other side of the bench, so I won't run around and get it. Oh, I forgot something. Okay. Oh, let's see if we can solve that problem. If you notice this one, I've actually decorated the belly band. So let's assume this could happen to you. I'm always keen on solving problem. So this was 2 centimeters wide. Let's go 1.5 centimeters for this. This is another pattern that I have, oops, that I've decorated with the gilding. And I'm wanting to put it across here. I could pull that off for sure, or I could do this. Okay, that works. You just want to make sure it can slide in and not hit the dimensional that's holding the sentiment on. There you have it. I think I like that with a little bit of design out the top. Okay, so for when I take the photo, I'll add a little bit of bling to those, but there you go. Gilded foil and the angled gatefold card. I hope that's been inspiring and I hope you give it a go. Bye.